I think he needed for his legacy. And I agree with some things that JJ said, but we just coming off of everybody talking about Steph needed an MVP in the finals
Yeah.
to solidify something. And people gave validity and credence to that. I didn't. I thought Steph was great anyway. And just like you just said about KD, JJ, he's great. He's one of the greatest to ever touch a basketball. My high school coach used to tell me, some guys gonna pick this basketball up and you're gonna immediately be able to tell that they suck and they need to play football. And then there are some guys that's gonna pick this ball up and you already know where their trajectory is. KD is one of those guys. I remember watching KD in summer leagues and when he went to the University of Texas, you knew at 6'11" with that skill that was gonna be a problem in the NBA regardless. We looking at Chet this year, tall, a lot of offensive prowess. Jabari, Smith. I'm talking about guys in the draft. Tall, a lot of prowess. KD was that. I watched Dirk when I was playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Not have much of an athletic bone in his body, but one of the greatest scorers I've ever had a chance to sit down and watch because he knew how to get his shot. What KD does, as far as off the dribble, we're not used to seeing 6'11" do that. We're not used to seeing you talked about his defense, defensively, being able to guard 1 through 4, the length and the range to be able to meet people at the top of the rim. We get all of that about KD basketball knowledge, acumen. We know he's one of the smartest guys that can break games down. I'm a fan of Kevin Durant in the way he plays the game, the way he's gotten better over his career. But JJ, just like we talk about, and I hear guys talk about all the time, the different rooms in the Hall of Fame. They talk about it in the NFL as well. The different type of conversations that we're having about a guy. That is the only part of KD's legacy that I feel like he needs to feel. The conversation will, regardless of how mad we get about it, how much we hate it because we know KD's greatness, the conversation will get to if his career ends without him, quote unquote, leading a team to a championship as being the guy that start from the bottom, got guys there, and they were able to go do it because of what his influence was, will always be a part of the conversation if he don't get it done. And is that bad? Maybe, but that's the standard we've held all the other ones to, that we consider to be on KD's level. We hold all of those guys to that standard. So I feel like it's more of, like, he could be mad, and I understand what he's saying to Chuck. By the way, Chuck makes some pretty damn good money too, just to get that out there. But
We all
the
want
other
Chuck
part
money.
of that is,
We all want Chuck money, Marcus. We all want Chuck money.
listen, I ain't gonna be mad to get Chuck money, JJ. But the bottom line is, man, is that when you get to the point of saying the bus driver, he took offense to that because obviously what you just said, KD felt like, look, man, did you see my splits and my numbers when we played in them finals? They absolutely needed me. They did. But they also won before you got there, and we just watched them win another one. So that whole argument about, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say to a point you made at the beginning of that about it changing his legacy. To me, involves all the things that you kind of talked about, and that's like, is he a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Yes. Is he one of the 10 or 12 greatest players ever?
Yep.
Yes. Has he won Finals MVP? Yes. Has he been MVP? Yes. Like, I don't know what another one
JJ,
does to that. Hold on. But I don't know but I know what another one does to the narrative, and that's different. And just a simple definition. I couldn't find a great one, but I like this one. What is a person's legacy? Mm-hmm. It's the richness of their individual life, including what that person accomplished and the impact on the people and places that they went. I don't know that him going another place changes that, or winning in another place changes that, Marcus. He went to Golden State, and he enriched Golden State. He enriched Golden State. He made that place better. He made that place better. But let's be very clear on that.
JJ, bro, we obviously know that KD on any basketball team, let's just be honest, on any basketball team is going to elevate that basketball team. We wasn't talking about the Brooklyn Nets before KD went there. I don't remember nobody on TV leading with the Brooklyn Nets basketball before KD showed up there. We know that. We are not talking about tangible trophies. We ain't talking about stuff that's in his trophy case. To your point, we all know KD's greatness when it comes to playing the game and playing it at the level. But we also know there will be another underlying conversation. You can't run from that.
We gotta go.
I can't run from that.
Really
and
quick.
as much as KD might want to, he can't run from that.
Real quick, yes or no? Steph getting another one. Did that help his legacy? Did that change where you think he goes down in the history books?
To some people, yes.
But not to you?
No.
Okay, so then it's the same kind of thing for you with KD. I get it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.